Welcome back to the Why So Series podcast. I'm your host, Brandon. Devin's here, and today we have two of our favorite people, Sharmane and Old Man Wade here. What's going on?
Hey, voice.
I don't know if it's just because you moved out here or if it's every time I'm on one of your shows, but you always rep hard for the West Coast on your music, your intro music when I'm around, so I appreciate that.
Oh, no, Devin will tell you. This is all I've been listening to my whole life.
His whole life, not.
I don't know
Oh,
why.
you've always been a West Coaster?
Yes, I don't know why, but that's I don't even understand. But that's always been me. But yeah, so we are here. I thought that song was just fitting for how I felt watching the show. We are here to discuss the first season of The Boys. This is based on a comic book by Garth Ennis, but the show's synopsis is a group of vigilantes set out to take down corrupt superheroes who abuse their superpowers. This is starring Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Jesse T. Usher, Laz Alonso, so many other people as well. So I'll start with Sharmane as someone who didn't read The Boys. Me and Old Man Wade read The Boys. You and Devin have not. So, as someone who hasn't read The Boys, what do you think about this show?
So I've only read into part of the first book. So I do know that the way Robin dies in the show is very similar, structurally similar to how the book was, even though the location, all that shit was different. I love the whole thing about this. I like Marvel versus DC because I like superheroes inserted into my world, into my reality, and this would be another extension of that. What's the collateral damage? What if they get too into their powers and shit like that? So I liked it. I thought they put it together really well, but I also enjoy exploring powers on this level.
All right, Devin, what about you? Somebody else who hasn't read the books, what'd you think?
I just appreciated it. It wasn't as X-rated as you thought you tried to make it out to be. And I'm glad that we didn't get that version because I think it could have went way left with a lot of people. It was well received by everybody. I love that Seth Rogen made this a thing, and he kept pushing for it. I enjoyed the whole dynamic of watching what superheroes go through about the business aspect of being a superhero, and that was pretty fucking dope. And it's a really heavy series, man. It's dark at sometimes, and there's redeeming qualities about certain characters, and it's fucking dope, man. It's a ride, and I enjoyed it. I actually got to watch it with you, Brandon, so it was really cool too.
Yeah, that was great. Old Man Wade, somebody who loves the book. What'd you think about the show?
I bloody loved it. I thought they did a great job of combining little parts of the comic book into and inserting it into the TV show without making it as dark as the comic book, because the way the comic book works, it absolutely would not have worked as a TV show. It is just way too graphic and way too vulgar. And while there is a deeper meaning, I think people won't be able to see that meaning because they won't be able to get past the language and the things that they see. The things they changed were great. The things they added were great. And that ending kind of left everybody wanting more. And I'm actually glad they actually are already filming season 2.
Oh, they are? Okay, good. Yep. I was worried.
Yeah, they started filming season 2 before season 1 premiered.
Nice. All right, cool.
Yeah, so I love this show. This show, to me, as ridiculous as it is the most to me the closest thing to what it would actually be like in a world full of superheroes.
Yeah.
Because when you read comic books, even in the Marvel and DC world, you have villains and stuff. You have like clear-cut villains and clear-cut superheroes, and then there's like one or two gray characters. But most people are on one side or the other. Whereas in real life, like that line is fucking blurred. And this book, this show really goes into like they kind of use superheroes as an allegory for how we treat celebrities in the way that like celebrity culture and celebrity coverage, and then how celebrities are treated by their publicists or their studios, or in music artist case, like their studio record labels, where like everything is crafted, like your image is crafted, what you wear is crafted, like there's cameras everywhere you go. Like it is this entire world that we live in 2019 with social media and smartphones and the internet, that's exactly how superheroes would be. And of course, if people were that fucking powerful and that good looking, they would do a whole lot of fuck shit, like you see on the show. So I really, really enjoyed them doing that. And I kind of like how, and like Old Man Wade said, in the books, we're spoiling this show just so everybody knows. There in the books, the whole thing in this season, Huey, towards the end, kind of figures out like that, like I heard somebody else say this, that Billy is basically Captain Ahab. Like he's always out to get his Moby Dick, and he's a crazy person. Right. And he kind of figures that out. Whereas like in the books, it goes on for a long time with Huey and the boys. Like it's not this thing that just ends as quickly as it ended. Like as quickly as it goes on, and they get into some really wild shit. And they might allude to some of that wild shit, just like I know Old Man Wade appreciated this, but you remember how they had the TV. They had the TV report, and they were talking about like Tech Knight's his fucking car with the turbine, because Tech Knight's basically like their Batman, and so they didn't even go into that storyline, which is crazy as fuck. Like it's just we might see something like I think we might see something like that in season 2, but it's fucking crazy. But yeah, so basically they kind of made Billy to the person that had to make a moral choice at the end. And they kept Annie as like the centerpiece, the center moral person in the story. So Sharmane, how did you think about how we'll start there. What did you think about how they started off with Annie Starlight and her joining the Seven, and then what did you think about how she ended towards the end of the season, her arc?
I thought she was fine when she opens, like her first couple scenes. I thought she was going to be really boring and just like, what the fuck did they pluck her out? Like she seems to be a risk for them to have plucked out, given the way she was presented in the opening scenes of the TV show. But I like that she managed to keep who she was. That she had the little bit of the conflict of like, the Christian stuff that goes down where she's like, no, these people were my family. I grew up around these people. They couldn't possibly be bad. But her eyes have been, because of her exposure to what's been going on in New York, her eyes are now open to the darker side of the so-called good or whatever. And sorry. And I do like that they did with that. I was wondering though, because I haven't finished any of the books, if she has that arc the whole time, or if she was a molding of multiple characters as one.
I guess Old Man Wade, I guess I would say, and you can correct me, but in the books, she's not as nearly like. She's there. To me, she's not as important in most of the books, in the beginning of a few books, as she is in this show. What do you think, Old Man Wade?
I agree completely.
Yeah, they focus more on the boys in the books.
Yeah, I assume.
Huey was I would say Huey and Butcher were the stars of this of the comic book series. Annie had a really crucial role to Huey's life, but she wasn't at front and center as she is in the TV show.
So did they give her the role that they gave her in the show to insert like a female empowerment, like let's not be fully misogynist thing? Is that what you feel happened there?
Probably exactly what it was, because the Sharmane, the more you read of the book, the more you'll understand what I mean by like the growth of characters and the underlying point of the story. But Starlight was kind of just there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are a lot of terrible things happen to her. A lot of life.
Yeah. Also, that's what I was gonna say. So in the book, way more fuck shit happens to her. Like she's like, if you were to watch that on TV, if they did an exact replica of the book on television, what a lot of people would say is, you're using her as like torture. Like you're using her to prove to just do fuck shit as a plot point, because like a lot is like, for example, in the beginning scene where she goes in and the Deep is like trying to
Brandon, would I not tell you? Are they about to rape this girl? Because I was like, yo,
so
this
in the
is about
Deep,
to be.
so you that scene right with the Deep in the books, it's much worse. In the book
that I read,
in the book she walks in and there's like all of them are in there,
right?
And they all just pull their dicks out. And it's much worse. But shit like that continues to happen to her throughout the books. And they didn't go that route on here, which was really good. Devin, what'd you think about what'd you think about what happened with Annie and her mom and how she found out what her mom did?
Yo, like the manipulation, and then it just let me be like, oh, I get why Annie's dad left. And her mom literally tried to act like that wasn't a thing. It was, the way it played out was so good. Like it's like a good book, and you just want more and more, and the layers of onion come undone, and you're seeing it, and you're like, yo, this is America, yo. This is what parents do to their kids in America. They push them, and they push their dreams onto them, and they try to live their dreams through them. And Annie had to wake up and see that, and that shit played out so well on screen, and I loved every minute of it.
The pageants, the like baby hero pageants that they used to do and stuff that they just kind of reference in the show, I think was trying to do that too. Like what you're saying is everything, all the hopes and dreams that you failed at growing up, you stick now into your child and try to make your dreams their dreams. Mm-hmm. And it just felt like the whole time, like, how did she even manage to continue to be this idealistic character that they inserted in the show if she has this kind of parent who is pushing her to be this thing that she didn't ask to be?
Yeah. And so basically we find out that basically what Huey and the boys are trying to figure out is what's going on with these Supes, and they find out that the Supes aren't born like that, that they're made in a lab with an injection of, what they call it?
Compound V.
Compound V. They get shot up with this compound when they're a child, and that's what makes them develop into a Supe. And so Annie was always told that like her superheroes are just divine intervention, like God created her that way to save people. And because her mom's one of those like Midwestern Christians, but also got all the, she's got all the like true believer stuff, but then also all the like scam stuff, like all in one. And so she's basically like, you know, this, but God's made me choose you to put the compound V in, and so. She flips out, and this was after her and Huey had a disagreement and stuff. And I like how Andy's character has been focused in this this TV series. I didn't think they were going to do the thing with the uniform, but they did that. That was in the books. With her, they making her a sexy uniform for marketing purposes. Like all that shit was really good. I like how they had the scene where she stopped the woman from getting raped, and her publicist was like, what the fuck are you doing? There's no cameras here. Women don't come out and say nothing, so the guy's just gonna make up lies. For this show to be so ridiculous, a lot of shit I can say, oh yeah, that could happen in real life. Like, so much shit could happen in real life. Oh man, wait, I want to get your opinion on this. Another character, we'll get to Huey and the boys, but I just want to talk about some of the other characters first. Another character that a lot of people are loving to hate, I should say, is Homelander.
Yes.
So, as someone who reads the books, how do you like how they portrayed Homelander in the show?
it's one of those moments where I'm not sure how much I can say because of what's going to happen, what happened at the end of the series in the comic book. But I will say this: they made him way more hateable in the show than they did in the comic book. In the comic book, it was kind of like he wasn't exactly he was a terrible person, but he was like, you know what I mean. He still tried to play this like all American like role like to some of his peers. In the comic book, it was, oh no, fuck you, I'm the big dick, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Like the way he threatened Queen Maeve was like the moment you realize, oh, he really is this guy. This is exactly who he is, and he'll always be that.
I just started thinking about Ike Turner and shit in the background. What's love got to do with it? I was like, damn.
They also made Homelander a tragic character, though.
Yeah.
Like, see, he's super like he is what like Sharmane. I guess I'll let you talk about this, but he's what happens when your life is fucked up and like everyone coddles you, but also never gives you a chance to express your feelings because he's very childlike, like it's very childlike throughout this series. Sharmane, what did you think about Homelander?
So the whole time, because I didn't even really get to Homelander and how far I read, the whole time when watching it, I'm just like, what is his deal with Sitwell?
Yeah, Sitwell.
What is his deal with Sitwell? Like at one point I go, he definitely has some weird ass mommy issues or something like that. But because we don't really get to see mommy issues played out that often as we get to see daddy issues played out, it was hard to detect. Like it took almost until he's basically about to nurse that you're like, oh yeah, he got some issues there or whatever. What I think he is a perfect example of is the white guy that goes crazy that you coddle and think of as, you know, a troubled young man like we got going on right now, with these two mass shootings, where he's just like, I mean, yeah, you for that twinge, that little moment in one of the episodes, they show him as a baby with the blanket in a very void room, just a very clinical space or whatever, playing like, I guess, almost peekaboo with the doctors through a small glass window. And you're just like, oh, that's awful. He had no affection. No wonder he's all fucked up. But you're trying to even figure out, like, how the fuck does he even know how to pretend to not be fucked up?
Right. He's good.
He's a really, really interesting character. He kind of looks very similar to someone we know that does not at all have any of the same personality traits. So it's kind of disturbing sometimes to think of him as a character and not the guy that in my life that he looks like. It was very weird for me on a personal level. But he was played. I think he was played really, really well, because I didn't like him from the jump. I'm already pretty not trusting of, you know, that kind of a guy, that like really patriotic, uber patriotic, you know, white savior type of dude. Yeah, I'm always going to be a little bit wary. But his intensity, those like real quiet intensity moments that he did were great, because you're just like, oh, this guy is going to go the fuck off at some point.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, and I wanted to get your opinion, and when Old Man Wade gets back, we'll ask him too. Okay, cool. I'll ask all three of you now. You can go around. So basically, at the end, we find out that Butcher's wife is still alive and the child is alive and well. They kind of play it up at the end as if maybe Homelander did not rape her. What do you guys think happened there? Because when she saw Homelander, she didn't look like somebody who was scared of their superpowered rapist. At least that wasn't my vision there.
Well, here's my thing about that is I don't think it was. I'm trying to think of a way to word this correctly. It was rape, but I think it was, we need someone who's compatible enough to have Homelander's baby. And if you don't do this, we're going to ruin it. So
okay.
But
that would make more sense.
But why would they do that when none of them wanted him to have a baby? Like nobody in the marketing and nobody in the corporate office wanted him to have this baby, and they didn't tell him, and they got her the fuck out of there.
So
because if you do that, you can't. You got to put humanity in him. Like he has to raise his family.
Exactly.
A superhero that doesn't take care of his obligation as a man. So,
like we saw what happened to Homelander when he wasn't a nurture. So now they're gonna see what happens if they take a superhero kid, have him born, and into a loving family
environment.
Environment. Yeah, thank you. And now we see what it's like. And the idea that corporations lie. Sorry.
No, I could see how they would put her up to it. Like, so there's this thing that I think happens, which I think they kind of allude to with the scene between the Deep and Starlight, in that you can 100% be raped by someone you have a crush on. You know, you can 100% have that happen to you. And they show a scene from the past where there's kind of like a connection or at least a fan out of meeting Homelander and then being told at the Christmas party, and then he tells you like, oh my gosh, you've done such a great job for me, I want to bring you on all of my stuff, and you're just like overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, you know, this person that I admire can see me, you know, and so you become a little bit more susceptible. Some of your barriers are broken down, right? It doesn't mean that if you're put in a compromising position, you're just going to say yes, but it, you know, I think what they probably did, if Old Man Wade's perspective is correct, is that they see this chemistry between them. Maybe Sitwell's a little bit jealous because they clearly have some kind of weird relationships, like they got a dynamic, whatever it is, you know, they got a dynamic, and so maybe putting her in this position to be kind of voluntarily raped. I mean, like, I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of twisted what seems to happen, because when they show the video of her coming out of the room, you're looking at a woman who needs to compose herself. And, you know, me being a woman who has been not raped at work, but harassed at work, whatever, you do this. You come out of the situation, you try to compose yourself so no one can detect it, and you go on about your business while you suffer on the inside. That scene to me read like that. That read like a woman who was like, I am fucked. How do I tell anybody that fucking America's hero raped me? Right. There's no way that that's going to play for me. And so you compose yourself and you get yourself out there, you know, whatever. I think if Old Man Wade's idea is correct, that's a good way for that to have played out. You put her in a position for this, or they just got lucky and she did get pregnant because he did rape her, but she might still have a fond, like, that's a thing too. You do have those people that have sort of a Stockholm syndrome to their attackers, right? Where it's just like, you can't have been the bad person. There had to have been something that allowed for it. Like, self-esteem and issues and things play to that, I think. So all that kind of stuff is possible.
Well, the only reason I say this is because when Stitwell brought up this butcher's wife to Homelander, he didn't react to me as someone, even as shitty as he is, he didn't react to me as if someone who had raped this woman. He reacted as like, this was one of the people I liked. And now
I agree.
I thought you guys got rid of her because she was distracting me, like that type of thing. And as opposed to like, oh, you guys covered that up because I raped that bitch, like that type. Like it, that maybe I'm reading that wrong, but I just didn't get that reaction from him.
See, the part that messes me up is that she was in that room for 3 hours, because 3 hours is a long time to
consensual.
3 hours is a long time for consensual, but it's a super long time for non-consensual, right? Like, unless you're deciding to kidnap this person, you're not going to sit there unless, there are the men who have that sort of misguided thing where they are clearly raping a person, but somehow they think you're voluntary in it, or they convince themselves they're voluntary in it. You wouldn't let her go.
Well, I also could
she just left.
Well, look at it like this. It could be Homelander, as we pointed out earlier. Like she was kind of enamored by him. So you meet a person and you go upstairs and you have a few drinks. So for the 3 hours, it might not have been anything else except for a fan who really loved Homelander. She could have been talking about knows what else under the sun.
That's true.
And then let's just say, for example, that he did sexually assault her then, like he raped her then. There's no guarantee that she's going to immediately get up and leave. And just because there's no quote unquote footage of him leaving, he's probably the fastest man alive. And there's no way he can't dip out of there without anybody knowing. So she might have left that room after being sexually assaulted. And we've also seen in the comic books that Homelander's the type of dude who will say some shit like he was talking to A-Train and he said, he was like threatening him. He goes, "You do not mess with the money," and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "Don't get up until I'm well gone." So he might have raped her and then said to her, "You're not to leave until time X."
Right.
Because he's a manipulative son of a bitch. So
also we're taking apart that he's probably never been with a woman before.
Like I wouldn't go that far.
No, I'm pretty sure he's been with a woman.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know. Like, I don't know how early it was into him being Homelander.
Because in the scene he was already with Maeve. Because remember
they had been together, right?
Okay, never mind. My bad.
So before we get to the boys themselves, let's finish off the 7, the characters that we learned about in the 7. What did you guys think about the storyline with A-Train?
Before we get to A-Train, can I just say something along the same lines of the thing that happened to Homelander? Because we briefly touched on what the Deep did to Starlight. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say I love, because that's not the right word. But what they did, the writers did to happen to the Deep, I thought was
great.
I was hoping that would end in a death, though. Honestly, like,
not me.
I mean,
no, because if the boys don't kill him, I don't want him to die. But
live with what. See, now you know how it feels for someone else to do to you what you did to them.
See, the reason why I wouldn't have minded him ending in death is because I am a woman, and I would much rather a woman kill a rapist than, like, for me it would be far more satisfying, because it already seems established that Starlight is not going to be the one who does that, because she's not necessarily a vengeance person, or whatever. This woman doing that scene would have been very satisfying for me if it ended in his total destruction. But because he gets to basically walk out and be normal afterwards, that part was unsatisfying.
Here's the thing: is he normal? Because after that happened, he's fucked up.
Super fucked up.
And they did it in a way where they didn't show the rape scene with Starlight and the Deep, but they did show what happened with the Deep and that woman. Like, they showed you exactly what was happening, and then they showed you how fucked up he was afterwards, like shaving his head and just going. And then they contrast that with. And you can say this is a strong woman archetype, but it's also a positive thing in some ways. It's the contrast that with how Annie reacted afterwards. Because Annie had her deep times too. Like, remember that when she's sitting at the bar and she's flirting with the dude, and she's about to fuck the dude, and then she realized, like, that's not who she is. And Maeve kind of talks to her because Maeve's been through some shit. Whereas the Deep, like, that nigga shaved his head. He has, killed a fucking dolphin. Just starts, his life's going down the fucking drain. They send him away from New York. They send him to the middle of America in some small ass town in Sandusky, Ohio, with no fucking water. He's the water man. They send him anywhere where there's just a fucking small lake in the whole area where he's at. Like, his whole life is shit.
But they turned him into like a goofy thing. Basically, here's my perspective of it is that I am glad we got to see the rape scene, or the implied rape scene of the woman and the Deep. I think not showing the rape scene with Starlight, though, is kind of giving you a pass not to hate the Deep so much, because you don't think it's that bad, because you don't see it, right? You don't even see the beginning of it. You just see the implied thing. So I think you get him off the hook a little bit. And then he gets fucked up for like a few minutes, but then after that he turns into this like bumbling idiot, which is now used for comedy, not necessarily used for. It's not, for me, it's not reading as he's deteriorating because of what happened to him. It's reading as like he just kind of did this, he just has this turn into this like kind of bumbling idiot type of thing. And it does, so for me, it's unsatisfying watching it happen.
Oh no, I see how you can say
I want to see him more. I either want to see him way more fucked up that turns him into like, oh shit, I've been doing this fucked up stuff, so now I'm going to try to do all this good. It still be unforgivable character, but still, but instead the way they have him do it is, I'm a bumbling idiot and now I got this dolphin killed. I'm a bumbling idiot and now I got this lobster killed.
I can see how you're going there with that. I think it's the opposite. I don't want to see him turn into a redeemable character.
No,
I'm not saying I want him to turn redeemable. What I'm saying is I want, I could see them putting him on the path to appear that he's redeemable, but ultimately he's still an unforgivable character. I don't need to forgive his character in any way, shape, or form. And I don't need to forgive Homelander either. If it turns out that Homelander didn't rape Butcher's wife, doesn't matter for me because he's already... the shit with the plane and all that other kind of stuff. He's already irredeemable.
Let's talk about that shit for a second.
Is completely irredeemable. There's nothing bringing Homelander back. No, what I meant with the Deep is I didn't take it as comedy. When I was watching that, I was like, this dude is fucked up. Because what I don't want to say what made it worse. 'Cause I'm not gonna say it made it worse. But what made the thing with him with the woman bad is that it showed. I think what that did, which was different, because to me, if they would have showed her, because a lot of people would watch it is that they would say, oh, that's rape. This, what people say, that's rape, but it's not rape. I'm not saying that, but that's what people say. Like, she had a choice. Well, yeah, technically, technically, does she have a choice? Yes, technically, she could have just said, I don't want to be part of 7 and left. Mm-hmm. But we all know what that was. Because
it's not a human reaction. Yes. A human reaction is to suck up the shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So technically she had a choice. But what they did with the Deep was they took the superpowered man and basically put him in a position with a regular human and showed that, listen, man, when someone is raping you, that is a power move. Even the superpowered man had no power in that situation.
That's facts.
He had no power. He couldn't do anything. Like, he's a super powerful superhero. He couldn't do nothing. He did nothing. And I thought that was great showing that, because when it's a woman and a superpowered man, people would be like, oh, she's just doing that because she wants to do that, and that's fucked up. But she's making it. She, like Sharmane just said, she's sucking it up because that's what people do. Not always in a sex situation, but just in general, when people suck it up and make sacrifices to get some of the things that they want all the time.
Plus, look at this position Starlight is in, which is different than the other position. Her thing is, you will get the chance to save the world potentially if you stay here. So if you got to take this fucking dick against your will to do that, I think it's a human reaction to do. Right. I really, really think it is.
What happened with this? You're good.
She's gonna take it and she's gonna try to do the best with what she can, not realizing that it's chipping away at her as it's happening.
Right,
she's gonna
continually in her decision.
Right, and I think a good-minded person does try to do that. It's still fucked up. It doesn't mean it's not fucked up, but I think it's a very human thing to happen. Exactly. Whereas for the Deep, because he is a man and because he's a powered man who is made powerless in a moment because he's basically being asphyxiated while being raped. In his case, the way the power struggle affects him is a little bit different than the way the power struggle affects a woman. I mean, there are women who fall apart completely from what happens to them, absolutely. But there are also women who, like I say, you ride the shit out. You hide it. You don't let people know what's happened to you. And you just go on because this is how you're taught to be strong. Right. It's fucked up and it's twisted.
And by showing the Deep scene, what I thought, which would be better than showing the scene with Starlight, is that people have this already perception of women when it comes to rape, and that like they're being overpowered, and especially when you have a superpowered man raping the woman, it's like, well, he's overpowering her. Of course, she's not going to do anything. Whereas with this scene, I thought it was very important to show that, because it shows that like when you're getting sexually assaulted, when you're getting attacked, you can't a lot of times you can't do anything. Like your body shuts down, your brain shuts down, like your reactions you don't react as you would normally in situations, because the Deep is obviously strong enough where he could have just thrown that woman off of her, like physically. Yeah. He's strong enough where he could have just picked her up and tossed her across the room, but he was powerless in that situation because of how that shit fucks with you. even more than physically, just mentally, how it fucks with you and shuts everything down. And I thought that scene showed that. Whereas, although a lot of like you and other people would get that from the scene with Starlight, I think the general audience would have just looked at it as, oh, this superpower man is forcing this woman to do this, as opposed to what you got out of the other scene. It was like, no matter how powerful you are, that shit will shut you down.
See, the way the scene with Starlight and the deep read for me is, it seems to me that physically Starlight is stronger than the deep. That, I don't know if that's correct, but that's how it reads. She was able to bust those screens and kind of shake the room or whatever.
There's no water around. Yes,
there's no water around, but they do show that he is strong. When he punches those dudes during their crime fighting scene, homeboy like flies off with his punch. So he seems to have some physical strength in addition to the his water skills, whatever those are as well, right? But she read to me as more physically powerful than him, but that what happens with sexual assault is the psychological effects is actually what usually submits a person. Obviously the physical does too, but in that scenario, that was a psychological submission over a physical submission. And I think the only thing that troubles, well, not the only thing, but a thing that troubles me about it is that they implied that it's only a blowjob rape versus, so it's like not that bad, because even he says that it's like, it's not that bad. You took a dick, move on with your life kind of thing. Right. And I'm afraid that people read it that way, because I want people to understand that even that form of rape has as much psychological damage as a penetrative, anal or vaginal rape. The rape is rape. The shit, what happens to your brain fucks you up for a period of time. So I hope that that's how that didn't read like in the masses, because I was getting that that's what they were saying to us. And it's just a blowjob rape. It's not that bad.
That was on part of it, though. I think they wanted to let everyone know that this is how disgusting men think, that like it's quote unquote not that serious. You know what I mean? So I think they were trying to put that across to let people know, like, no, it's still horrible and it still really does fuck with people. You know what I mean? And it even affects the people who are the most powerful, because she could have like burnt him to a crisp, like probably with the snap of her fingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think they put it out there as like, it's not really rape, because that's how people like him think. But in actuality, it's no better or any worse than any rape. As you said earlier, rape is rape.
Yeah. So let's talk about Devin. Why don't you talk about A-Train as the track star in this group? What'd you think about his arc?
I loved his arc as far as the fading ability of Father Time catching up, and like his Compound V. He has to keep reading up on Compound V, which is fucking crazy, and how like his powers don't evolve more if you keep taking Compound V and keep hitting this shit like a junkie. Like, I felt like he should have had way more muscles. I felt like they should have like superimposed some shit on him. He should have like blown that dude like Shockwave out of the water. I felt like I really wanted him to get exposed for cheating and shit, like dozing. But then like Compound B is something else. Like they should have said like A-Train took a steroid and shit and he cheated, and like they did a P sample or some shit, and like he's exposed. It's a big thing. But it was tragic,
Can Homelander not read shit like that? Like he can read heart rates and all that other kind of stuff. Can he not read like changes in body chemistry and shit like that? Is that not clear in the books?
He probably doesn't care, because A-Train still
care.
That's true. A-Train is paying.
But he looked at A-Train and knew A-Train was doing that shit. He knew that shit though.
Oh, absolutely. He gives him
looks
during the track meet. Like even from that distance when he's standing with Queen Maeve, he kind of gives him this look like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, And plus,
not to go off but because we are at the race, the scene of Butcher turning back to Mad Dog Homelander while everybody else is facing forward.
Love it.
I fucking love that moment. Number one, Bones. I'm calling him Bones. I don't care. Bones for me is just like, I thought he was a really good choice for that, even though like build wise and stuff like that, I don't, he doesn't read as the same character in the book or whatever physically, but dude, he went all in for that role. I thought he was great.
Oh yeah,
he was. Yeah, A-Train shit, and also the shit with Popclaw and that whole thing was
That's
really
tragic,
fucked up. And then I love how they had the scene with A-Train in the store, and the security guards basically just treat him like any nigga, just like you're just any old nigga. When I don't know that you're A-Train, you're just another nigga. And then when he realized he was A-Train, he's like, "Oh, my bad, my bad." And the A-Train tries.
No, it wasn't. It's when other people.
Oh, yeah. It was when other people were filming him. Then it was like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah, oh my bad. But they're still like, and still he's still an asshole after that. Like you thought they were gonna play that scene. You thought they were gonna play that scene as like, oh, this is a turning point for A-Train, right? He's gonna become a better person. No, he's still a fucking asshole.
But I'm all in for this. Like, I like this idea because this is maybe it comes from my Japanese upbringing and Japanese cinema and stuff like that. But like America, we redeem fucking everybody, and it's exhausting and it's stupid as shit. Some people, it is okay. No, it's not okay, but it's okay to portray somebody as non-redeemable. There are some folks out there that are lost. I'm not gonna sit here and, however many years later, I'm not going to sit here and forgive the dude who's out there shooting up these schools and things like that because we found out some shit about his past or whatever. No. Or if he dedicates the rest of his life to being good. I don't care. It doesn't work for me like that. I'm not that kind of person. Right. But so to see that like they have bad things happen to them and it still doesn't fix them seems more realistic to me than anything that ever happens in American movies. So I'm glad that we're seeing them being mistreated and that they're not learning from it. Like just in the moment, it's just like, fuck, I can't believe I was treated like that by a security guard. Oh, I'm going to turn around and be a dick again. Yeah, like that's realistic as fuck. And I do appreciate that about the show a lot.
Okay. And I also love, but I love that they didn't, with A-Train, I kind of like that he didn't lose his endorsements because I think the situation with his brother was way heavier. His endorsements.
Yeah. So another thing, going to throw out the Japanese thing again, disappointment. There is no greater loss on the planet than someone you love and respect being disappointed in you. That shit hurts like a mother. I mean, I think it hurts multiple cultures, but there's like a specific cultural thing with Japanese folks and disappointment. Disappointment kept me in check way more than beatings from my dad's side ever did.
Yeah.
The fear of disappointment. So when that brother turns around and he's just like, basically the Amidala thing, you're going down a path I can't follow, and until you get your shit right, I'm out. Like, oh, that should have gutted him. It should have fucking gutted him. But he's so jacked up on that V, he couldn't even see what was happening in the moment. Like, I do think they did that pretty good. So A-Train's not black in the books though, right?
No. He's a person of color.
He's a person of color, but he's not. I don't know if he's black. I don't think he's black.
Okay. Gotta make him black. You got to make him black.
So lastly, because Black Noir really didn't do much, which I love.
Bro, he's a black man on the show. He's going to play by a black man.
Yeah.
Well, I
like that you don't know what his deal is if you don't read the books and stuff like that. Like, I think it's kind of funny, but at the same time, like everything about him is he's silent. He's Black Noir. What is his deal in this show? I love that they go whole season and they never deliver on who the fuck he is. But he plays classical piano and shit. Like, what is his deal? It was funny.
Sharmane, when you finish the series and you find out what his deal is, it's a bit of a mind fuck.
I'm working through. I am working through it. I started reading it last night or whatever.
And can I just say, and I've been telling anybody who will listen, the name Black Noir is the most redundant shit ever.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Too. I was like,
it's so good.
Can we call him Midnight Black Noir Onyx or some shit? Like, come on.
There are more characters that when you see these characters, you're just going to be. Some of them you're going to play for jokes, and some of them are just fucked up.
And if you can see the article Old Man Wade wrote on Bam Smack Pow about the 5 characters you may want to see in The Boys.
Go check that out. And then the last character in the 7, before we get to the boys themselves, because we're running long, is Queen Maeve. Sharmane, what'd you think about what you learned about her story arc over the 8 episodes?
Okay, I'm on record as not being a fan of Wonder Woman. So, I mean, I get that they have to have like a Wonder Woman kind of character, but I feel like she is another underdeveloped character for me. Like basically they show you that she's some kind of troubled. And then they show you that she also, I assume, is forced to hide that she is either bisexual or a lesbian or whatever, because they show her ex-girlfriend or whatever, who, by the way, and maybe this is a problematic thing, I fully thought was doppelganger. That girl to me looked just like the girl that was the bartender that turned doppelganger in the earlier episodes. I was so confused throughout all of that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
They look very similar to me. So when she shows up, when the ex-girlfriend shows up at out on the street, and she's like, "Bitch, this is my job" and stuff. That's when it made sense to me. No one knew who she was. I was like, "Oh, I'm confused." But yeah, I feel like I don't know enough. I see she's struggling with something, but I don't feel that we really know what is the thing that sent her down this path. Is it that Vought didn't let her pursue this relationship? Is it that she was also raped by all these people and then had to date one of the people she was raped by publicly? Like, I can't figure out what her damn.
But Old Man Wade will agree with me. In the book, some fucked up shit happens to Maeve.
Yeah, there's a
Maeve was the first one, so it gotta be fucked up for her. That trailblazing,
right?
That's not easy.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like I understood even Translucent better than I understood Maeve, and we got to see more of Maeve. And so for me, I don't know. I don't feel she was very well developed for me. I can't tell if that was just me reading it that way or what. But I definitely want to know more of what her deal is, so that I can place her in the world a little bit better.
The Queen Maeve character, I don't really think we get much of her development until maybe the last 10 to 15% of the comic book series. There's just there was a lot going on with her, and it's crucial to finding out what's going on with everybody from the boys, from Stillwell all the way up to like Mallory.
Okay.
So I can agree with you because there's not really a lot of development there, but I think there's only so much they could do in 8 episodes. And
right.
So unfortunately, some people will get sacrificed in all of that.
If it pays off in a later season, I'm sure that I'll be fine with it. And I'm gonna have read the books hopefully by the time we get to see the next season. But I think the best that they did with her is give her these cutaway moments where she had to smile. She had to pull a Melania Trump and smile at Homelander, but then turn around and be like, "Oh, but he let all those people die." That's the best character development I think we got out of her. So I get it. She's on some kind of path. That's all I understand about her.
And they did a good job with that airplane scene too. That's something that came out of the comic books. Their 9/11 was that plane crash that fell into the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was something I thought they did a really good job of doing, especially with everything that happened with Homelander. And he was just kind of like, nope. Like, I'm leaving. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And then here's the part that kills me, though, is even though he knew that plane was going to go down crashing in like a ball of fire, he still kept his
composure.
His celebrity persona and all that. And and speaking of shit, I was waiting for all of y'all to talk about this one scene when they were like, "Oh, he even tracks well with Caucasians."
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you.
I mean, it seemed so natural, so realistic for me that it was just like, yep, I'm sure that I'm 100% sure that for every celebrity that we have out there has been a meeting where someone has said they track well with Caucasians. 100%. 100%. It has happened.
And him having
also, Maeve is there to be Maeve is there to be the symbol of what the 2 paths Starlight could go down, as well. And so she's there to be like, you could become me. And then they even do the direct scene in the bathroom where she's like, don't fucking be me. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm past the point of becoming you again. But you have a choice at this point.
Yeah.
Don't make that choice. And so I like how they threw that in. All right, so we talked about the antagonists, and let's talk about the other antagonist that's slightly better. Because the boys are not good people. People need to understand this. The boys are not good people. They are not good people. However, when like they didn't do like they kind of alluded to teenage kicks in the show, but like and when you read the books and see teenage kicks and see the 7, like they are good with quotes compared to them, but they are fucked up. So Devin, what do you think about Huey and his character? He is the best out of them, I guess.
I mean, is he the best? I feel like Milkman is
maybe the female.
No, see, with Mother's Milk, he's still deceptive in his they portrayed him better, but he's fucked up too. He's lying, he's cheating. There's maybe not cheating, but there's things about him that are fucked up. So, I mean, Huey's best thing is really that he just got into this game.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Like,
but Huey, the whole time Huey is questioning things, but he's doing it because he's driven by revenge. But then he ultimately has a decision to be made to fall into. But it's similar to like Maeve and Starlight, whereas Huey's Maeve is the Butcher, and he could go down that same road that Butcher went down. And but at the fork of the road, just like Starlight, he decides to take the other way. At least so far as we see so far.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love the casting of Huey, of Jack Quaid. I think Old Man Wade can speak to this, but like Huey in the books is like this bald-headed, like fucking.
It's Simon Pegg, but in cartoon form, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Simon Pegg plays his dad, which I thought was cute.
Here they make him like this fucking funny but quirky kid that has the anger issues. It clearly has anger, like just you could. And I love
it's almost like panic-induced anger.
Yeah, but also due to like his daddy issues. Like he's got these issues where his dad is just, he's been treated like, you're this wholesome guy. You're not really this tough guy. We sit in the house and we watch reruns of sitcoms and, you're not really this explorer type. And Huey's got all this built up shit for years that he's finally able to let out. And then he fucking kills Translucent, which is a seminal moment for him. And in the comic books, it wasn't Translucent. It was a teenage superhero that he basically like punched a hole through, like on accident.
His name ever, Blarney Cock.
What was his name?
Blarney Cock.
Yeah, Blarney Cock. Yeah.
Wow, Irish dick. Okay.
And so Huey, I think that where do you see Huey going, Devin, and then Old Man Wade, in future seasons?
I feel like he's all in because he's now has his tribe. So like I just think he's going to be compliant with a lot of these things. So you might get those seminal pauses, but I still think he's all in.
So you think he's still going to fuck with the boys?
Yeah, he's all in, and then hopefully Sunshine or what's her name? Starlight. Yes, Starlight will help out, but I think he knows that shit's burnt. So I'm excited to see about what season 2 has to offer about that dynamic as well.
Oh, and wait, how much of the comic books after the first few issues do you think we're going to see in Huey's character going forward? Do you think they're going to try to take it in a different direction?
I think they're going to go in a different direction because they've already changed Huey's character drastically.
Yes.
In the comic books. He's already way more confident than he ever was. He did feel bad for killing Translucent, but it kind of like he knew it had to be done.
I feel like he's a little energized by the fact that he did it too. Like he's got a kind of like I fucking killed a superhero thing going on subtly under there too.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. I kind of get Huey in a sense where he, as a person who doesn't like, a friend of mine says I kill ants with a flamethrower. But I don't like doing it. Like, so sometimes you have to really put your foot down and go, no, fuck you guys. And I kind of felt it was almost like a relief, like all this anger being let go at a push of a button. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like he doesn't like doing it, but he'll never really be comfortable. But he realized this is all going to now be a part. This is a part of him now. This is who he is. This is this is the things he's going to have to deal with going forward. So I don't know if he like really loves it, but I kind of feel like this is something like he knows he has to do.
Yes. All right. So Huey Huey's the centerpiece character, him and Annie in this film, and then there's Billy Butcher. And Billy Butcher is your typical like smart ass fucking super overconfident appearing motherfucker who's also really fucked up inside. And it's got a lot of fucking issues, and you can see them coming out over and over again. Were you cheering for Billy, Sharmane, and Devin, or were you like, he's fucked up? Like, what was your opinions of him as you watched the show?
Oh yeah, he's fucked up. I'm not cheering for vengeance though. I'm fucking Japanese.
Always here for that.
I'm here for vengeance. Like I think so. This is the thing that kind of gets me twisted with Batman a lot of times, right? Is that you're vengeance, and yet you don't actually ever really get vengeance. You don't pull the trigger when you know that you probably should, because fucking your enemy gets back out and wreaks more havoc, kills more people, blah 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 blah. So like I do think that some people, some good people need to be bad to get shit done sometimes. Like that's why more complicated superheroes or superheroes with flaws appeal to me, because I think that would happen if I'm superpowered and I know some people have done some shit. Whether prompted or not, do I go and take care of that because I know they've done something in the past? I'm probably going to be that person that does that, because that's sort of the way my mind thinks or whatever. So I like him. I mean, he's complicated. He's a piece of shit. And you don't want him to win. You don't want him to get to go back to the wife and the white picket fence at the end of all this shit. He's gone too far. But like,
yeah, but he's also really fucked up to his team.
He's fucked up to his team. He's willing to. They're all expendable to him, even though he needs them. They are all expendable to him, and so that makes him a really, really problematic person. And the thing is, like for him, all this other stuff is side. Is not important. It's as long as he gets to his end goal, which is Homelander. Ooh. He has to get Homelander. So everything is all about him. No matter how he tries to make it seem like, oh, I'm going to help you get vengeance. I'm going to help you save these people. We're saving people. At the end of the day, for him, it's just vengeance. So yeah, he's not redeemable, but I like him. He's the kind of unredeemable that I like. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say, I will not take any besmirchment of Billy Butcher.
No.
I will not sit here and let you besmirch the great Billy Butcher. I think that he is.
Do you feel that I besmirched him? Because I literally said that even though he's bad, I like him.
Oh no, I'm just saying that because I like to say I will not take this besmirchment. I'm sorry.
You can't besmirch. What is it, Billy Joel or whatever the fuck white musician that Jack Quaid, what's his name? Huey said you can't besmirch Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Oh yeah, Billy Joel.
All right, so go ahead and try to defend Billy, old man.
I mean, Billy is just he's just a pawn in a Ponzi scheme, yo. He didn't want to do that.
Yes, he did.
He did. He enjoys it. It feels good.
So hold on, y'all think in the context of the show, y'all think if Billy actually got to Homelander that this would end? This ain't ending for Billy.
No.
He doesn't go back to normal.
He can't go back. But I'm just saying, like, it's like, who's the woman? Mallory. Is it Mallory? Who's the woman?
His wife?
Mallory's the lady that got the boys together.
Who's the one he worked for?
Yeah,
and then
Mallory.
Her kids. Yeah.
Mallory.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Mallory's Bernie Madoff. She made off with she gave the nigga the formula. It's a Ponzi scheme. Now she getting paid while Billy do all the dirty work. That's all.
I mean, to be fair, her grandchildren were incinerated.
Yeah, but they also got her grandchildren killed by their version of the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Like she.
Well, I mean, she
prices are being paid across the board.
Yes. And this is all on Billy's fucking shit. He goes to the CIA lady and he's like, I want this, 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 and this. And she was going to give it all to him except Homelander, including protecting his people's family members. And he goes, oh, fuck that. It's Homelander or nothing. And he's willing to let his people's family die for his shit after Homelander. That's fucked up.
Yeah, he's fucked up.
I
The
mean,
needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and Butcher understands that.
No.
Tell him.
Butcher 100% does not understand that.
No, that's the opposite of Butcher.
Butcher says Homelander or nothing. That is not the needs of the many. That is needs of the Butcher. Get it right.
Thanks.
I'm saying, look, man, y'all know what Homelander's into, and he's gonna kill a lot of people. He's gonna do a lot of messed up things to many people. So therefore, Butcher's right. Hashtag Team Butcher.
I mean, I get it. We all have our problematic faves.
All right. See, and then all right. Okay. So lastly,
Oh, but can we talk about it? We have not talked about it at all. Fucking Frenchie's
that's what I was about to say.
enamorment with the female. Oh my gosh, I love Frenchie. I don't know if Frenchie is close to the character in the book or whatever, but this actor playing Frenchie, I adore him. J'adore Frenchie.
He's much better, and I gotta say this: he's much better in the TV series than he is in the comic book.
Yes, I agree. He's kind of just like a psychopath in the books. Just like this, like this person who just fucks shit up. But yeah, so that was the last. I was gonna say. Lastly, before we do our season 2 predictions or what we hope to see, the last thing I wanted to talk about was Frenchie and the female. So, what did you guys think about that dynamic with them two?
I loved every second of it. I didn't find out that she was like what X2. Like I didn't know she was X2. Like without the claws and shit. I didn't know she had a healing factor. She's fucking dope as shit though. Like I love her. And then Frenchie just trying to understand her and really giving her a chance, knowing he wants to know her story, is endearing. And then their friendship, or more, maybe more for Frenchie, is cool. I want to see how that plays out in season 2, definitely.
All right. So, lastly, before we get out of here, let's talk about season 2. They've already been approved for season 2. So that will be coming out soon. So what do you guys... Hold up. This is fucking hilarious. This is random. So I'm looking at the IMDb and I'm just clicking on actors. And this is a black woman, Neka Elliott, right? And she plays the female news anchor on the show, right? So I clicked on her page because I never heard of her. Every fucking film she does, she's a news reporter. Shazam, newscaster. Condor, cable news anchor. The Dark, news reporter. Designated survivor. First reporter. Everyday, news reporter. Taken, news correspondent. How do you get typecast as a news reporter?
I mean, there's a lot of black women out there who only have black judge on their IMDb, so...
This is incredible.
They would have hired me for Black News Reporter. I'll do it.
So she should probably just play it. She should be a news reporter in real life. If she's just she's probably really fucking good at it. But okay, so she's
how many actual black news reporters do you actually see though?
I mean, outside of Atlanta and Baltimore and DC, probably not that many.
I was about to say, like, I mean, Abby for CNN. I be seeing her all the time.
We had one named Sharmane when I was growing up down here when I was a kid. So.
Oh, Liz Walker too. Forgot about her.
In Atlanta, it's like every channel, but you know, it's Atlanta.
Yeah, so she's probably like, well, if I can't do it in real life, I might as well get paid more money to do it on the screen.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so they've been approved for season 2. We'll start with Sharmane. What are you looking forward to in season 2? What are your biggest questions going to season 2? All that.
I want to figure out what the real dynamic or is between Maeve and Starlight. Like if they're two symbols of female archetypes, you know, I want a little bit more development between them, or make them whole ass people, because what I feel is that I understand a lot of the male characters better than I understand the female characters. But you know, whatever. I want to see what this weird dynamic is going to be between Homelander, the Butcher, and Mrs. Butcher and the kid.
Becca Butcher.
Becca Butcher, because I think the kid is already a problem. Like his eyes glowed as soon as he found out, you know, Homelander was his dad and shit like that. So, you know, I like the idea of trying to figure out what the dynamic would be like if a person with all these powers was raised by a mother's love or whatever, would they be different? But now that they're introducing the father figure who is problematic right at that ripe age of, wait, wasn't he supposed to be 8 years old? That nigga looked 13 and a half.
I mean, he's a superhero, so I mean, doesn't really
Okay.
matter.
He's a suit.
Yeah, maybe. He's a soup. But like, so I'm interested in seeing what that dynamic would be. And is it going to be some kind of, polyamorous triad situation because they're all going to be one happy family? Hey, it's always an opportunity. So yeah, I'd like to see where that goes. And honestly, I just want to see more of Frenchie because he was kind of my favorite part of the show. I just loved him.
All right, cool. Devin, what are you looking forward to?
Got to see what happens to the deep, where that goes. That's always fun to see somebody's spiral. Definitely want to see the next scene where we find out what Becca Butcher and what Homelander and how Billy how all that this resolves itself and what conversation is had. Definitely here to see more superheroes die. And mostly I want to hear the female talk in Frenchie. They're good.
All right. Old Man Wade, what are you looking forward to?
I'll go a bit to the left with this. I want to see more superhero shenanigans. I want to see them introduce some other superheroes to really nail the point home that they're making fun of Marvel and DC. I don't think we'll ever get the Legend just because of Stan Lee's passing. I think it'd be a little bit in poor taste unless they kind of make him a better person. I'd like to see Malchemical and I'd like to see Tech Knight.
I really want to see Tech Knight.
Oh, and Love Sausage.
Love Sausage. Have not gotten that far.
They have a character called Tech Knight. He has a bunch of sidekicks called Ladio.
Oh, wow.
Which is basically Robin. And it's really fucked up. All right, yeah. I want to see what they're going to do with these souped up terrorists and how that's going to play because the really powerful one is walking around at the end.
After he became a nuclear explosion and then he wasn't one?
Yeah, he's still alive. And I'm like, he might be able to fuck with Homelander. I don't know if Homelander knows, but he bit off more than he can chew a little bit. So I want to see what's going on with that. I want to see.
Do they talk at all? I mean, I'm going to go full nerd here for a second. Do they talk at all about how the individual powers pop up in people? I understand they're introducing V to babies, but is it just the own genetics that are determining what their power ends up being, or is it something in the V that is doing that?
I could tell you what happens in the comic book, but it might completely spoil the end of it.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. I'll get there.
Yeah.
Because it's even more fucked up when you find out.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just know everything is more fucked up in the books.
Oh,
everything. Yeah. Every single thing. So definitely we all like this. What do we give it out of 10? I give it a 9.5.
I'm giving it a 9.5.
Yeah, I give it a 9. It was good. It was fun.
Same here. 9.5. And this is from someone who was going in with very critical eyes and ears. Been waiting for this series for a very long time, and it exceeded my expectations.
All right, cool. So that is The Boys season 1. We all loved it. We will be back for season 2. All these friendly voices will be on the shows coming up more soon. What did I say? More soon. More often.
Sooner.
Soon. I've been fucked up with my classes recently, so I haven't posted or done anything. Me and Old Man Wade did a review, look back on volume 1 of The Boys. We're going to come back and do volume 2 and volume 3 a little bit later. But I still need to put that out because I've just been all caught up with shit. We're about to record a Hobbs and Shaw review later today with Stephanie and Rashani. Tomorrow, Stephanie and Tachi from the TV Channeling podcast are going to be on our weekly show. Devin's going to be out thotting and bopping, as Stephanie says. And we'll have more stuff to come. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure you should already have been doing this, but go subscribe to the Old Man Wade Show. Go check out his articles on Bam Smack Pow. Go subscribe to all the shows on Main Hustle Media, Blurred Comics, Black Radical Queer,
Militantly
Militantly
Mixed by Furious.
All of those shows. Oh, the new show by Furious. Go subscribe to all of those shows and support Sharmane and all the great work that she does. And we will be back soon. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and talk to you later.
Team Butcher.